Recording. Hello, once again. Welcome to Nerve Check. I am here once again with the looks and the brains, and for some reason, Alex has actually decided to join us. This makes it official. You are now doing more podcasts for us than you are for any other podcast that may or may not exist.
Are there any other podcasts?
Well, wait.
There are none that matter.
There's not. Just us.
We are the best podcast listened to by tens of people.
That is absolutely true.
It's
How
true.
are we all doing tonight? We
Doing
all
great.
good?
Doing well.
Fantastic. We are joined also with the world's best dog.
Bear.
It is Bear. And if you are not watching this, you are missing out because Bear is gorgeous.
Well,
So-
and you did miss out because now she says I gotta get.
Fair patience has run out.
Oh, she had her cameo. She had
Less
her
than a
close
minute.
to DeVille.
Well done, dog. Well done.
Well, today we're going to go take ourselves through the dead of winter. Three of us were able to make it down. Unfortunately, one of us
Me.
got sick, and that was too bad because we definitely did miss you being out there, John. So why don't we start with you there, John, and we'll go from there because your games are going to be the fastest of all of us.
So my games were wonderful. I got to do a lot of playing with myself, which was fantastic. Instead of
Did you win best sports?
I didn't win best sports, which was strange, but I did win best overall. So
Okay.
works
There
for
you
me.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely came first. So
I sure did. So, and you know what they say: if you're not first, you're last. So, works for me. I did miss the tournament. I was sick. It definitely sucked. I wanted to go to this one. I was at last one and did reasonably well. So I was looking forward to seeing all the guys down in the States again. Oh well, too bad. I'll see them again soon.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna run you guys through. I'll be Taskmaster tonight. So let's start with Alex, the guest on the show.
Ooh.
How did your
Oh,
hot seat go?
It went pretty well. This is like my first event as a
In 80
participant
years.
in about like a year and a half.
you're a brand new player, right? You've never played
Yeah.
this game before.
Essentially, I think the last tournament I played in was King Beyond the Wall 2023.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
No, sorry. Crossroads 2023. So like those are the last two events. So the August, September of 2023 was the last time I was in an event. Last
we
year,
were all there for that one. Did you really play in that event, or were you?
No,
just
he played.
there?
Those are the ones he played because I
No,
demoed
we saw his result. He didn't
Oh,
play.
yeah. That was the worst Crossroads of my storied career. But record wise, I did get to play some amazing opponents that weekend. But last year I ended up running March of Death and King Beyond the Wall so that John could have a little extra Masters practice going. And so I was ringer for both. So I had about 6 or 7 games with some wonderful lists that John wrote for me that were incredibly limp-wristed, doodle-fisted, like just.
I like to call them the soft touch. Okay.
Yeah. It was. And those were interesting to run because they could do nothing. So it was a lot of fun just trying to come up with something.
Yep.
So yeah, this was my first time. I think I played one game in the fall, maybe, but then that was actually right before Crossroads.
Yeah, we had a practice game at the store.
We had a practice game, and then we got COVID.
Yep.
And
we
the
both
magic
missed
player,
Crawford.
David Govan,
So
yeah.
this time I learned my lesson. No practice games. Don't go in public until the tournament. I did when I signed up. I was like, I didn't want to use rats anymore. At least this year, I wanted to take a break. I've run like 17 variations of rats for the last like 6 or 7 years. So I had an opportunity to pick up a Nightstalkers army from our another local player, Ryan King. So he provided me with a ready to go Nightstalkers army, and I was like, well, this list looks good enough. I'll see how it goes. So my list was 2 Scarecrow regiments, a Tormentor troop, 2 Butcher hordes, 2 Planar apparitions, 2 Shadow Hulks, a Soul Flare regiment, and Essenishra. And then every army at Dead of Winter gets a free zombie horde and a free Tome of Darkness to distribute whatever
Whoever
character
you
you
could.
wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I only had one character, so I put it on Esanishra.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was I. You know what? I've been thinking of a double Shadow Hulk army for a long time. I have a lot of the miniatures for them somewhere for Mersha. So I was like, the list has been in my mind for a while, but I haven't actually used it. So this was my first 5 games with it, and they went pretty well. So
game one.
game one,
Give us a quick rundown.
Game one, I was against Bill Stein, an Albany player of the Horde. He's running Abyssals.
Bill.
He was running Abyssals, double Molochs, Cronius. He had the Abyssal Berserker formation. It was a pretty good list. We were just kind of like, what scenario was it? Round
Rack
one.
and Ruin.
Rack and Ruin. So it was like the progressive scoring. So 2 progressive scoring zones and then an objective in the middle. So I think turn 2, he left his Nagari regiment just sticking out a little bit behind a Moloch horde. And I was able to jump my Soul Flayers in there with Esanishra and pop them. And then so he had a Soul Flayer regiment just blocking everything up in the middle. Esanishra was in the backfield. So that kind of disrupted everything. And that let me like kind of piecemeal his army apart.
Things go downhill from there pretty quick.
Yeah. So I think eventually I won like 5-2 and like tabled him. But it was that went pretty good start for the list.
Good start.
Great opponent. I felt that was like that definitely like set the tone. That Soul Flare charge kind of like really messed him up. So that was like I felt good about seeing it, but then it was also like one of those like feel good, feel bad moments.
It's the TSN turning point sometimes.
Yeah. So then round 2, that put me around on table 2 against Jonathan Neeson.
Yep.
So he was running Northern Alliance.
Oh,
so, right. And he usually runs Nightstalkers. So I joked, I'm like, you probably know my army better than I do, because this is my second game, and you've been running Nightstalkers for years.
Yep.
He had 2 Frostfang hordes, 2 Ice Elemental hordes, Trim, a couple of Thanes on Frostfangs, Clarion, and some Snow Foxes, and I think and a horde of the Tribesmen. So pretty punchy, a little bit of shooting. So this one was pillage. Yeah, this one was pillage. So we had like the standard like little diamond set up, Yep. 2 at either end, 2 out here, 2 here, and 1 in the middle.
Yep.
And then again, I was just kind of like shoving everything up. The good thing about Butchers and Shadow Hulks backed up by Planar Apparitions is nothing dies very quickly.
They can take a good chip.
Yeah. It takes the Butchers are 16, 18, and the Shadow Hulks are -20. So they're a tough thing to one shot. So you're gonna do it. A lot of things will do 7 to 8 damage to them, but that's usually not enough.
Yeah.
So I got a little lucky with I had 2 regiments of Shadowhounds. That's what I forgot about.
Oh, those are good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my speed. So there's speed 10. So the Shadowhounds got a charge in on his Ice Elementals on the one flank and tied them up a little bit, and then they had a slap fight back and forth. So the Shadowhounds have regen, and then he had an Ice Queen with like heals. So it was just back and forth. Neither one could break the other one for like 4 turns. And then eventually I got I think I sacrificed something so that I could get a flank on him with a Shadow Hulk. And then,
that sounds like a good trade, yeah.
And then eventually that kind of like solidified the center. I think I ended up killing most of it, but I was a little out of position. So I think I won like 3-2 on objectives.
So closer win, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember if we had a turn 7 or not, but I could have probably got like a 5-2, but it was. I'm a little out of practice, so some of my positioning was not the best.
I'm playing a list you haven't played.
Ever. Yeah, so foreshadowing for game 3.
Let's get into it.
So, still on table 2, and I get to face Marcelo and his Green Lady. And so he had 2 Forsaken Hordes, 2 Redemption Hordes. the normal Brotherhood Knights with Pathfinder and like strength, I think, or
Yeah.
I think it's
couple
same
retainer
as
regiments,
Brantford.
Pegasi,
He's been
Redeemer on
playing this Finware
Pegasus.
list
Yeah,
for
it's like the Marcello list, right?
It really is the Marcello list.
With like one less horde of Forsaken. So it, um, again, out of practice, I underestimated the speed a little bit, or I got a little lazy with it. So my deployment on the left flank, I had like Shadow Hounds and something on the left flank, and they were not facing. They're facing forwards when they should have been facing slightly out to
slightly
guard,
out.
to get to
Oh,
guard. There was a
no.
building, so his Forsaken horde had J boots at the doubled into the forest, and they were just out of arc, like by like
Oh, no.
just. And then he flew his Pegasus, his Redeemer up over the. So like, it was like I was like, oh my god, Alex, have you ever played this game? Because I feel like I haven't, and it was like, oof, okay, that made me feel very bad. And then, on the right flank, I ended up trading a Shadow Hound regiment for a Pegasus just because I needed to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, and then that flank was going relatively well, the right flank, until later when it didn't. So the left flank, left flank went. I actually salvaged the situation with some repositioning and backups, and I kind of pivoted my butchers from in the center with the Shadow Hulks to kind of threaten any approach. And he came in, he killed the Shadow Hounds with the Forsaken, I think, and then he charged my Soul Flayers with his Redeemer, but he didn't pop it.
Oh, that's lucky.
Yeah. And I was able to take out the Redeemer and then fly Esanishra in front of the Forsaken, suck them into combat and disorder them.
Oh, that's lucky. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And then next turn, I'm like feeling okay. I have, I've recovered my bad positioning.
Yep.
I've set up a Soul Flare charge on the Forsaken with Esanishra. I've set up Scarecrows and a Shadow Hulk into the flank of a Retainer regiment so that I could, and then moved another Scarecrow regiment to like, this is raise and protect. So I was like, so he had been burning stuff with his Pegasus. I knew I wasn't going to be able to stop that, but I was trying to protect the one on the one side and then kind of come around. So I was in position to burn one, in position to take out the Forsaken, and then kind of like refocus back into the center. We're using command dice. I use the Ferocious Charge command on the Soul Flares. They're hitting on 2s and 3s, 12 attacks. I think I rolled like 4 or 5 hits, maybe.
Oh, no.
And then I got 3 damage.
Oh, no.
Esanisha pitched in another couple of 3. I think now they're up to like 10. And then I missed nerve by 1.
Oh.
So
they're headstrong too.
Yeah. And then on the other flank, the Shadow Hulk goes into the flank, and I think I missed nerve on the Retainers by 1 or 2 as well. And then I didn't, and this is where my lack of
practice.
Yeah, I could have positioned the unit of Scarecrows so that my Shadow Hulk slid within 3 inches of the token, so I would have had 5 or 4 unit strength in 3 inches. But they were, I was just like, I'm going to kill these Retainers, and I'll just reform, and then my Scarecrows are going to be on the token. So I didn't think that far ahead. I didn't like protect against. I didn't hedge my bets, and the Retainers didn't die. Scarecrows are only unit strength 2. My Shadow Hulk was half an inch out. So then, and then at the end, I was like, my one, he kind of started mopping things up at that point because I couldn't. He had a redemption in the flank of
Can't
my
keep
Shadow
up
Hulk.
at that point.
Yeah, I needed to have the reforms, so he got charges and started killing stuff, and my one butcher horde was like angled off by like 5 degrees, and I couldn't add the double to the last token, so I ended up a 6-1 to Marcello in a game that felt very close on turn 4. That he was like, "You had it," and then then I didn't.
Yeah.
And he had some bad rolls too. Like we both were laughing because it's like we had really good rolls and really bad rolls like back to back, and it was just like a roller coaster. So that was a really good game. But yeah, I hadn't had a chance to play Marcelo yet, so that was really good opportunity. Haven't Not a lot of guys up here run Green Lady either, so I haven't really played against it. So that was a harrowing experience. It was a good way to end day one.
So ended day 2, game 4.
Day 2, game 4, up against Ren, Moyer and his
Oh yeah,
manager.
boy, Ren.
So that was Plunder, and so I was like, well, I'm 2-1. I'm like, my original goal for the weekend was like get 3 wins and see how it goes. And so I got 2-1, and I'm like, you know what? I want 4 wins.
There you
So
go.
I'm just like, I'm playing for the win. I'm not going to make it. It's not going to be flashy. I'm just going to get it and forget it. So Plunder, I got to pick sides. So we put the 2 points on the ends.
Oh,
So the ones are on the 3. The 3 in the middle are with 1, and then 2 on either side.
Ooh.
spicy.
So I was like, I picked the side that gave me a clear approach to the sender token where he would have a hindered approach.
Smart.
And I just ran my a zombie horde and a scarecrow regiment into the gap between the 2 buildings.
Pile your meat into there so he's got to dig through.
Yeah, and then backed up by the butchers and shadow hulks. Ran my shadow hounds around the other building to kind of guard my butt from his chimera.
Okay.
And then scarecrows and planar apparitions picked up the tokens and tried to run away.
Yep. Get out
He was like, "Oh, you should have put your shadow hounds on the other flank so that you could prevent me from just running up." And I'm like, I could have if I'd been trying to get more than 4 points. To get the 5 or 6, that's what I would have had to do. But I wanted to just make sure that I got the 4 points and just left it.
4 points wins the game.
That's it, yeah.
And then he had like, turn 6. He got through my line with a cavern dweller.
He plays aggressive very
Yeah, he got within a hair's breadth of catching my token carriers. He charged in. He had his lord and cavern dweller made it through.
Oh boy.
And again, so then I charge in my soul flares and Esanishra. I butchers and soul flares into his lord so that they can overrun into his cavern dweller. Right?
Right. Smart.
17 damage.
Yep.
On the lord.
Nice.
Guess what nerve roll I had?
Oh boy.
Double ones.
Snake.
And
all good plans.
So now his cavern dweller is like literally like is like 2 inches from my scarecrow regiment. Because he had a 6-inch overrun to get into that position from his and my scarecrows are only like speed 4, so they're just like Anyway, so he's like, "Oh, I'll just withdraw and then I'll see you and then charge." And I'm like, "You could, but I didn't actually charge you. I charged the Lord." So the butchers were in the way, thankfully.
Oh,
he was bloody lucky. Yeah.
He ended up killing the butchers. We roll. I think we got a turn 7. He overruns just far enough for me to be able to back up out of his line of sight.
Oh.
So 4 points. I think we both killed like 1,100 or 1,200 points of each other's armies.
It's a solid game.
Yeah, it was solid win. And then that put me on table 4 for round 5. And against Chris Pelletier, who I don't think I may have played him at the first Orc Town we went to.
I played him last year at Dead of Winter, and he is very good.
He's very good. And he was running Nightstalkers, but he was kind of running a slight weird mirror version of mine, a Bizarro World version of my list. He had 2 Terrors.
Oh boy.
And 2 Ravager hordes as opposed to butchers.
Yeah.
He had 2 Tormentor regiments.
Okay.
And a Bloodworm Legion and a Shooty Mind Screech. And then he had Phantoms, which I was jealous of.
Yeah, Phantoms are really good.
They really are.
So that was, again, I'm like, I just want to win. We're just gonna. I really. It was invade, and we set up completely an opposite side.
Yeah.
But he put a terror with the Phantoms on his weak side, and I was just like, "What weak side? I'm not even." Like, so I'm like right in the middle. So I ended up using my shadow hounds to kind of dance around his terror and also slightly threaten the backside of his army. So
Yeah.
and then so I got rid of the phantoms and something else that was over there. And then the fight for the middle was like, butchers on ravagers, shadow hulks, and like the terror and the bloodworms. And so eventually I got my zombie horde across. Oh, and the one thing about Dead of Winter is that every game, Mike was giving special rules to the bearer of the Tome of Darkness.
Oh.
So these were always fun, but in this one, it was particularly spicy because you could cast a spell on a unit to add 1 unit strength to it for the rest of the game.
It was good. Yeah.
So, but you rolled 7 dice, and the number of successes was the number of damage you did to the unit.
Right. Okay.
And then that unit has to take a nerve check at the end of every turn.
Oh,
no matter what. So I cast it on my zombies turn 1 because they're dashed like 22.
Yeah.
Nerve check's never going to affect them. And then I got them across, and then there was a lot of back and forth with the Ravagers. He was pushing and pulling me with like Wind Blasted and Thrall and shooting me, but I was using the Spell Ward command point command. And so he wasn't doing a ton of damage. I was healing it back, and then I think I took out a Ravager horde, and then he started bringing his bloodworms around. But then at that point, I had taken out both of his Ravager hordes, and I just was like, you know what? I think I probably should have done the math a little more carefully, but I just I'm just piling in over, and then I'm like, he's gonna have to start running away from me. He can't chase me because he needs to get points over the line to try and win it.
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, I cast the +1 unit strength on like a butcher horde, and I maybe
you can cast that spell every turn.
Yeah, once a turn.
Instead of surge.
And he had been doing the same thing. We made a pact. Like we had to. We said no matter what, we're casting it every turn that we can. And so I think I ended up casting it 3 or 4 times. He cast it like 5 times. It was
that's wild.
So I got everything over the line, and then I think I got my Shadow Hulk back to take out his Mind Screech.
So you shoved over, he shoved over, mopped up.
And then it's bottom of 6, and we're like, okay, do we count unit strength before the roll or after the roll?
Oh boy.
So we're like, okay, let's do it. So we counted it up to see if turn 7 would matter.
And
I had 19 unit strength over the line.
Right.
And he had 18.
Oh boy.
So all those little spells back and forth. Like I think he cast it 1 more time than I did. So I think he gained 1 point on me. But then we rolled for turn 6 or turn 7. We didn't get a turn 7. So I squeaked it out.
Wow. So you went 4 and 1?
Yeah, 4 and 1.
Nice.
Yeah. So all in all, I really like the list. It's totally different than all my rat lists.
Fair.
But it's a lot of fun. It's like Butchers and Shadow Hulks are good. Shadow Hulks will break your heart.
They do that.
But Dash 20 is really nice.
Yes, they're a great anvil. They're not as good a hammer.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to be running a variation of this for March of Death, and I think I'll probably try and build one of my own that I paint myself for Crossroads.
So
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. No. All in all, I think I've played Chris and Ren maybe once before, but otherwise, like it's kind of like a weekend of playing people I've never really played again before. A lot of really good games, a lot of good opponents. Everyone's armies are great. Chris's army is incredible. It's the creepiest. It's all tentacles, and his painting is really good. So it's like they're unnerving.
Yeah, the bloodworms was quite creepy, but his zombie horde.
Oh yeah.
His zombie horde was a bunch of these like faceless things. It was it was creepy.
He did a really good job with that.
It was unsettling to look at.
Yeah. No, so, all in all, I really Yeah, he did win Player's Choice, I think.
Yeah.
It was a great weekend. Mike
Oh, he did win, yeah.
Mike Rossi ran a great tournament. It was I liked the special rule on the tome bearer every game. That added a lot of spice.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was never like completely crazy. Like it was just like it added a layer that was interesting. Because like the one game 3, you got Cloak of Death, but it affected everyone, like both armies.
That fun too. Yeah, that was a pain in the ass.
So having Sinistro with Cloak of Death and Dread was kind of fun.
Oh yeah, that's spicy.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, that was a great
All right.
weekend.
Well, and your 2-second opinion on Command Dice in a tournament?
Fun but unbalanced. Some armies really benefit more than others.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's switch over to Ben. Ben, give us your rundown on your tournament.
Well, I did a bit of a murderer's row in the middle of the tournament, so I was quite happy with this one. Played better than I think I've played in a long time. So, what I should say is we went down as the murder garage before we get into any of this. And originally we had 11 members going down, and I still think that the shambling horde sent up a bioweapon and got rid of 6 of our members. So we ended up with only
6
5.
reps from our play group.
All the people that did not show up were just from the murder garage. So I'm a little suspect there, Mr. Rossi, sir. But I actually started off, and I was really lucky. I played Corey Walzer to begin with.
Nice.
It was great to play Corey. His rats were a very balanced rats, and of course he had Scud. But he kept telling me this was Scud with 2Ks. So this was a different Scud that I had ever played ever before. This was the nice Scud, and I still didn't. I missed killing the son of a bitch by 1 goddamn point in that game. I remember, like he was like Alex said, we had played Rack and Ruin. I don't know if you've ever played Rats before, but there are a lot of hordes. So I lost this game mostly because by the time turn 3 and 4 had hit, I was able to kind of back him out on turn 3, but turn 4, but turn 3, he was taking both the tokens on the first time around, and I had to get a lot of lucky dice rolls and things just to make sure that he didn't score twice and then the game was over. Which I think is a problem too with Rack and Ruin, that it's too easy to win, and I think that was voiced by a bunch of people, including Corey. He just kind of went, "Well, you can't stop me, and I'm going to move forward." So here we go.
I played Rack and Ruin, so
it's boobs from War Machine basically, but without the ability to kind of stop it.
Gotcha.
I think the 12 inch is a bit rough.
So game 1 went poorly for you.
Game 1 did go poorly for me. I did kill a lot of his shit. Like that was, I think we both killed.
Shit doesn't win you the game.
It doesn't. It got me close near the end. We ended up with a turn 7, and even with turn 7, I couldn't back him out. There wasn't any point scored at that point in time. We'd killed enough stuff on both sides to not make it a problem by then.
So lost round 1, on to game 2.
And obviously, when you lose round 1, you get an easy player, right?
That's the way to go.
Yeah, I got Keith Conroy.
Yeah, welcome to Easy Street.
Just a former master.
Just a former master.
And second at best of the rest this year. Just Easy Street. Welcome back to the circus.
Second in our region right now. Not a problem. I mean, it just definitely an easy. Oh my God, I was like, great. I wanted to play Keith. I honestly wanted to play Keith. I met him for the first time the night before. We sat around. They all had beers while I just kind of sat there and smiled because don't drink. Him and Chris Murphy were there. Sorry,
beers.
Yeah. We were watching The Mummy.
Yeah, we brought them ketchup chips. They gave beer, and we watched The Mummy.
And I said to him that night, I said, it'd be really great if I run into you because I've never had a chance to play. And he goes, yeah, that'd be great. And round 2, and he was like, oh, I'm playing you. This will be a fun game. And I'm like, oh, shit.
You made that happen. You put that in the universe.
I put that into the universe. So as it was already said, we were playing Pillage. This was the one where the book where the guy had the Cloak of Death. which sucked balls. So I had to put my guy way off on the right-hand side for me, and he basically became a solo. But worked out for the most part for me, the fact that what I had done.
But Keith runs squishy defense for herd, so you should have been fine.
Oh yeah, I mean they're slow and they don't hit on 3.
So
wait.
what happened?
Yeah, this happens. I guess I should say I was one of the only 2 Trident Realm players with a lot of ensnare. Apparently, people don't normally play these sorts of things. To look up my list, well, it's basically a lot of 2 of everything. Yeah, there's 2 Gigas, 2 River Guard, there's a Depth Horror, there's 2 Depth Horror Eternals. I took the King, 2 Knuckers, and 2 Tidal Swarms. You can look it up in our last podcast about all of this stuff if you want to take a look at it at that point in time.
So what happened with the herd?
What this boiled down to was I put 17 wounds on his big unit of Spirit Walkers.
Yeah.
Missed killing it by 1.
They're only like a dash 21, Ben.
Missed killing it by 1, which is a typical thing for me. Thought, okay, fine, it's not that big of a deal. I'll be able to pick this up. It won't be this should go. This is not a problem. And well, didn't pick it up, and then he put the regen on the thing and regen 11 of the 17 wounds back. And that thing was a problem for me for the rest of the goddamn game.
It's a command base feature for herd, isn't it?
It really is, and it's them and Varinger, do they deserve it? Yeah, kind of. Is it still a pain? Holy shit, yes. Like that is it's kind of powerful. Like
the regen on demand was like the thorn in my side.
Yeah. Yeah, Ren has been using it to a lot of
great effect up here.
Yeah. Marcelo used it. You got like 8 of 10 back on a Forsaken Horde. It's just like ugh.
And I know it's on 5s and it's rare for it to go off as well as it did, but there was a lot of these stories of I had 16 wounds on something and I got 10 to 12 of them back. And I was like, oh, fuck.
So the Spirit Walkers now get to run amok.
The Spirit Walkers turned around, continued to kill 3 other units. So I went from what looked like basically a done deal for me to that Spirit Walker unit was holding on to a set of tokens. Well, I had my flying little bastard River Guard, which got charged by what are they, Harpies?
Yep.
Well, the Harpies didn't hit, didn't do any wounds, didn't do anything to the unit, so I could fly them. The only problem is that to get within 3 inches of the token that would have won me the game, I had to land on a hill. And apparently you're not allowed to land on the hill if you're flying. So yeah, that's what he was telling me. So I was like, all right, fine.
What?
I couldn't get
like a 4. If 4, you can't add the double into like terrain.
But they
not
have
a hill.
Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Hills are
all
fine.
right. Well,
Hills are flat. Yeah.
Well, this fence. Sorry,
Fence.
Fence.
Oh,
A fence is different.
Fence.
I said
Yes,
hill.
you
I'm
can't,
sorry, it was a fence.
yeah, you
Okay.
can't
I
land on a
couldn't
fence.
land on the fence.
I was gonna say, Ben, we might have to go back to some basics training.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I couldn't land on the fence, so I couldn't win the game. So I was like, oh shit. So we got into I was able to kind of fandangle a quick run with a knucker that ran over to pick up 1 additional token that he had to abandon to make sure that he had at least 3, and that gave me a 3-3 tie instead of a 4-3 win. But I was really bloody happy with that game. Like, I'm not getting into the logistics of that game, but there was a lot of backing off, moving forward, and making sure that certain people could not charge certain parts of the army, because it doesn't look like a great army, but Jesus Christ, like when you're playing the player, not the army a lot of times, and he's one of the guys where you're playing the player, not the army.
3-3 draw is really good with Keith. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really happy about that. That got me on to play Owen Smith, I believe his last name is. I could be wrong with that. I get another herd player. I love playing Owen. I played him last year at Dead of Winter. He had a horde of chariots that he did not use.
Chariots.
Yeah, and I kept getting him to back off. I scared him enough that he wouldn't come forward with them, and that was kind of he wasn't aggressive enough. I was using walls and sort of other ways of stopping him because walls plus ensnare is -2 to hit, and he was a little worried about all that. And I think he was a little too worried about all that, and I was able to back him off and back him off, and that ended up being a little bit on the big side for me. Like I beat him by 4 points in that scenario. And in the last two games, because again, I wasn't flying high. I had two.
You're
I
1-1 right now. Yeah.
I'm 1-1, right? So
Mid-table,
he's a
mid-table.
lucky player.
Mid-table. You're in the fun bracket.
I'm in the fun bracket. Absolutely going to be in the mid-tier thing, and I get Alex Chavez, former master. Now, when we went over I swear when we went over these armies, I actually said that I wouldn't mind playing his army, but I said at the time again, it's playing the guy. And I think I put in our Murder Garage chat, I went, oh God, I've lost 3 units in the first round. Top of 1, I lose 3 units. And it kind of threw me off for almost the entire game. I was able to pick up 2 of his Titans very luckily.
What was he playing?
He was playing Abyss.
Oh.
And I play really well into Abyss.
Like
insanely well into Abyss because anything that hits on 4s does not hit on 4s against me. One thing I didn't understand, I asked him later on because he kept telling me, well, the entire game was on the right hand, his left, my right hand side of the table. I was able to pick up a token with the zombies and a 2-point token with my gigas and run to my far left, and he never went after him. Like, didn't even care about him, but he was sure that he was going to be able to break through and do all the rest of it. I picked up the other 2-point token that was on the right-hand side with a Depth Horror Eternal. I don't know if you've ever played against these guys, but they are hard as hell to kill. He got up to 13 wounds, and it's a 14-16. Did not kill the damn thing. Rolled a 3. He had 1 severe double 1 in the game where he hit that exact same guy. He hit him in the side with one of his units. One of his hordes of the Berserkers. But they were coming out of a pond. So they were hitting on 5 with 60 attacks. They did 10 wounds, didn't break the son of a bitch. Got flanked, killed them, made a huge mistake in not trying to kill that unit. I tried to get his Seductress to kill the Seductress and roll on through with the death horrors. Hitting on 3s, wounding on like 3s, I believe, because she was 4s normally. She didn't have her gnome glass shield at that point in time. Couldn't kill the son of a bitch. Like, I was like, what the hell is this? That almost lost me the game. However, as Alex reminded me at the end of 6, he goes, turn 7 doesn't matter. And I was still buzzing because we had both taken a lot of time to make sure that things were in the right place and giving up charges we had to give up and that sort of thing. I ran into his knights. Done
horseman.
Yeah, done 14 wounds to him, double 1 them. That would have given me all the tokens, and basically, like, that's the game at that point in time. But as Alex was trying to tell me at the end of 6, he's like, "But you've already won." And I'm like, "No, we got to." He goes, "I have 2 tokens on the cab that you did not kill. You've already got 3 points on the other side. It doesn't matter if I drop the token on the other side." And I'm like, "Oh shit." I just beat Alex Chavez, and I was like, I was really bloody happy about that one. I'd all but what did he have left? He had 2 shooting hordes and Zuzuzu.
Yeah, the 2 flame bearers and Basuzu.
Yeah. And he had the cavalry left only because of the double 1 on the cavalry, and then I did like no wounds to him at that point in time. But fantastic game, fantastic opponent. He wasn't sure what to do with my right side. I couldn't figure out how to break through his lines at one point in time. His shooting was on fire. Like, I've never seen 5s hit so often. Like, he was really, and my God, he baited me into a trap on that one side. Like, completely thought he was going to set up a different way. Completely thought he was going to play the game completely differently, and still played it really well. And with a little bit of luck, I think he would have turned that game around real easy.
Well, There you go. Moving back up on to game 5.
Game 5 on table 5, playing next to Alex there. And I played K2.
Excellent way to finish.
Skull face himself, and he was like, "I remember you. I played you before." I'm like, "Yeah, I still remember getting tabled playing elves against his orcs because, as he said, I fought him like a man, and I should not have fought him like a man."
I know elves fight, bud. They do not fight like that.
I said something about killing his war drums because I hate war drums, and he's like, "You're that guy that couldn't kill," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the guy that put the elf cavalry into your war drum, took 3 turns, and your war drum won." I will never live that shit down. However, this time did not go well for Mr. K2. After we had finished setting up, the biggest thing in his army was, of course, that legion of fight wagons.
Yeah.
Plus a shit ton of Morax. I was able to keep the Morax back. And I baited the Legion into coming in over a wall into my Depth Horse, which means they're -2 to hit. They had Barkskin 4 on them. They did 1 wound overall. I was a little happy about that. I ended up putting a Knucker, a Depth Horror Eternal, both in the side, and the Depth Horrors charged back into the front. One rounded the son of a bitch, needing a 5 or better to do it. And I was like, thank God my dice decided to roll over a 5 on this thing. And he was like, well, game's over at that point. It was nowhere close to being game over. He had a little bit of, I rolled 3 double ones, 2 of them mattered in the game. However, he went into my zombie horde, did something like 17 wounds to him, double ones him. I'm like, well, that's not very good. Second time around, I'm just like, they're devastated. Didn't matter, spin the dial. It doesn't matter whatever the hell. He goes, can I double? I'm like, sure, double one it. So he double ones it.
Awful luck for K2. Awful.
It was terrible luck for him. By this time, I'd already taken out, I think, enough units that it was kind of, the writing was on the wall at that point. But what it did do was allow me to kind of set up where I was able to clean up his last few units, including the unit that was fighting the zombie horde, which was on its way across to pick up some of the stuff that had been fighting his cavalry and the Legion. Because it got stuck on that zombies, I was able to get better positioning, not have to worry about going through a forest or whatever. One rounded his last one horde. It beat him 14-1. Ouch. I will never forget that. He tabled me. I've now done it to him. We're going to play again, and hopefully it ends up being just as good. What a great guy to finish on. What a great game to finish with. But yeah, that left me.
Record for the tournament.
I went 3-1-1 with 2 very big wins and 2 mediocre-ish wins. So I was very happy with the way that tournament had gone, especially with playing 2 former masters, and everybody but Owen. I don't know if Owen's never played in masters himself, but every one of them are master level players. And unfortunately, I was the only win for Walter for the entire weekend. So damn you, Walter.
Tough weekend for our buddy Corey. Well done. Clawed your way back up to 3-1-1.
Damn right.
Ray to bring us home here. Ray, tell us about your 5 games.
Well, sometimes people win and sometimes people lose.
Right.
I went to Nerdhammer and I won. And I went to Dead of Winter and decided that winning was optional. That being said, I had 5 amazing games, and choosing best sports between them was extremely hard. I got to play Greg. I got to play Jake. I got to play Jeffrey from Shambling Horde. I got to play Keith Conroy, and then I got to play Noah. So
that's a good run, yeah.
That's a good crew.
Looking for 5 nice players for great games, I got it. First game against Greg with his dwarfs, beautiful army, but I didn't know what I was doing in that scenario.
Sounds like a strange scenario. I've never actually played it. It sounds
It's like double dominate. It's like if you don't have a plan going in,
but it's
it can
double
go.
dominate with progressive scoring out here, and then you
Yeah.
finish by claiming them. Like that just
Yeah.
sounds overly
Yeah.
complicated.
It is.
So
It is not a good scenario.
No, and I didn't know what I was doing, and so I made a gutsy call where I was like, I charged in on the end of turn 2. I probably could have waited an extra turn. Like I had the mobility, so I didn't have to, and I did anyways. Killed the Earth Elementals, set up the charge for the next turn into the Shield Breakers, charged the Shield Breakers with the Horde and the Berserker Apostate. And doing my mental math, I'm like, okay, I have 38 attacks on 4s and 2s with Vicious, plus Brutal. I should be able to take out this Horde.
Yeah.
I did 13 wounds.
Nice.
So didn't even waver. And I lost both units in the exchange. And I was like, this is not great. So I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to engage when I did. But that was like, but that was the TSN turning point. Because if I had gotten the Earth Elementals and then I picked up the Shieldbreaker Horde, like that's his punch. And then he would have had nothing left, and it would have been a clean game for me because he had 2 regiments left and Golok, who was busy fighting the Succubi.
Right.
But as it is, the game ended up with him having the 2 Ironbreaker regiments, Golok and Faber, with some like ancillary shooting left at the end. And I had like an Abyssal Troop and a Warlock, and that was it. So it was a pretty bloody game. It was a 4-3 game. No major complaints that way. I will definitely play that scenario better, and it would not be my pick for Masters.
Fair enough.
Going into round 2, I got to play Jake. It was only the second time in my life that I've been able to play Jake in a tournament.
Excellent.
Jake lost to me at Orktown with his triple vampire list, so he was looking for a bit of revenge. And fortunately for him, the dice, first game I lost. I could have played better, got it. Second game, you have one of those games where you're like, I'm in total control of this game. I know what I'm doing. And then something happens. And for this case, it was Jake saying, I'm going to like YOLO and Leroy Jenkins, your Abyssal Berserker Horde with strength, with Moonfang, and with the Great Chieftain. That's it.
That's totally fine.
I have 11 attacks.
Yeah.
3s and 2s. I'm going to do 10 wounds to you. I need 7s twice because I have Dread. I'm going to get the 7s twice.
Yep.
And I was just looking at this because, like, he did the charges, and I'm like, I'm in the best position possible. Because I had the Abyssal Horsemen, like, just down and to the right, so they were angled so they could see Moonfang in the flank.
Yep.
And he had his Beast of Nature right behind the Great Chieftain. And I'm like, I'm just going to turn around. It's going to be 4s and 2s on the Great Chieftain, overrun into the Beast of Nature, like double kill, like triple kill, like life is great.
Mop them all up. Yep.
So he kills me. And the game goes from I'm absolutely in control to like, okay, this is a game now. Like shit. Like I got to put on my big boy pants and like not suck. And the next turn, I proceed to double once his Spirit Walker Horde with my Horde and Berserker Apostate, who then proceeded to get charged in the flank by the Minotaur Chariot, and the Spirit Walkers finished off the Horde to the front.
Just kept on going for you.
So the game went from I'm in charge to like this is a game to like I've lost, and it was like 3 turns, turn 4 or 5, and then like at the end of it, after I double ones, I know you're not supposed to, but I shook Jake's hand because it was like that's the game. Like I know that's the game because it's turn 5, and you're like, I can do math. Like I've just lost. So
it's like the meme videos you watch when you see someone start to slide at the top of a hill on ice, and they just like they're trying really hard, and it's just how it's gonna finish up.
Like great game. Love to play Jake. We're 1-1 now. We're going to have to play the rubber match at some point in the future. I had an absolute blast. Like nothing against it, but I thought I was going to win that one. So I'm now going into game 3, and it's I'm 0-2. And I play Jeffrey from the Shambling Horde with his elves. And unfortunately for him, this was like me going, oh, raise and protect. Oh, I finally figured out how my army works. Okay, Jeffrey, sucks to be you because my forces of Abyss are out on revenge. His elves were absolutely stunning. I like the modeling he did with it. I set up in the center, and by this point in time, I'm like, oh, I'm 3 games in. My berserkers are fast and they have nimble. I'm just going to run around the flank, ignoring your setup, hammer you on my right, and then pull into the center. So it was me beginning to learn how my army works and knowing the scenario better. But it took me 3 games to figure it out. Unfortunately, there was game 4. So by this point in time, much like Ben, what's your reward for going 2 losses and a win? You get to play Keith.
Yeah, apparently he was the victory for people getting crap on
Keith
him.
is just like hovering in the mid table, just
He
picking up.
was. I think he was doing it on purpose too.
So Keith and I play, and we're playing the 5-point plunder. We both put the 2 points in the middle. It was a great game. Like it was an absolutely stunning game. There were no funky, like the game, I lost it 4-3, but it was like a legitimate loss of 4-3. I got 8 points on the loss, so I out attritioned him, and his army was like 3 units running away from me at the end. But it was a really solid game. I crushed him on the left. He crushed me on the right. He was able to pick up the token, the 2-point token, to get the 4 points and run away quicker than I could crush him coming in. So lots of fun. Looking forward to playing Keith again in the future. Currently a tie and a loss against him, so it's a record I might have to improve on. But I learned a lot in terms of his positioning, how he used his individuals. It was one of those games where I came away from, we didn't talk a lot during the game. Like he and I had a pretty quiet game, but it was one of the ones where I think we both really enjoyed it. It was pretty intense, like no major issues. And I guess whenever you end like a 13-8 or 14-7, like
really close game.
Those are close games. So that was great. And then I got to play Noah. I've never played Noah before. I got to play as Ratkin, and much like Alex said, I know Ratkin. I know Ratkin really well, and I know my forces of Abyss, and I know them reasonably well by this point in time. It's been 10 games with them, 11 games with them. So he put the zombies to anchor his right flank. Unfortunately, zombies really don't anchor anything.
No.
So when you put a horde, a regiment, and a hero into a horde of zombies, they disappear, and then you've turned the flank and you can press in. And that was really the story of the game. He punched through my center, but it was invade, and I was able to use my superior mobility, my nimble, with the turned flank to just clean up his line. So we're working on his list for March of Death, to make it as epic as possible, because he was my pick for Dark Horse. And playing me on the mid tables was not where he wanted to be. And I will not be playing at March of Death, so he'll have the opportunity to go.
To catch someone like Alex or Ben. Yeah.
So in my list, the Abyssal Horsemen were actually the disappointment, because they hit hard, but they weren't nimble. They weren't speed 9, so they weren't winning the speed competitions. They weren't nimble enough to keep up with the rest of the fast army, and they were too fast to keep up with the succubi and the slow part of the army.
Yeah.
So they were the odd,
weird one. Yeah.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that speed 8 is slow, but I think that's the meta change I've noticed. If you're not speed 10, you're slow.
Yep.
Like, even my speed 9, its only advantage is it's nimble. And if it wasn't nimble, it'd be slow. So I think the meta is really shaping out to be speed 10 or speed 5, 6, and just accept the fact that, you have bodies, you have the staying power to stop the Alpha Strike. I think command dice really enhance an Alpha Strike army, because whether it's the +1 to hit, +1 to wound, like the reroll hit, reroll wound,
Or the
it already.
combat.
Pardon?
Or the reroll a combat one if you get
or the ferocious charge on the regiments.
But it just ups the lethality, which encourages an Alpha Strike build. So that's my take on it. I'm not a fan of the command dice at this point in time. I think with the changes they made, they might be, they'll definitely be better because you clearly keep 1 point to reroll the Bane Chant or the Scorched Earth or whatever it is. Celestial Restoration. But
can't reroll that anymore.
Yeah, you can't reroll the spells anymore.
So I think the changes are good. Tournament was really good. I wish I got points for killing zombies. I took this 2 succubi regiments specifically so I could wipe out the zombies really quickly, and zombies weren't worth anything. I was like, oh.
Tough break.
Tome of Darkness, like Alex said, it was a lot of fun to play with it. I will definitely adjust my army in the future to have a character with Tome of Darkness that I don't have to worry about in case it provides Cloak of Death to everything. But no, it was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. Glad I got to do it. But I definitely got thumped. And this is one of those cases where you sometimes learn more from being thumped than what you do from winning. Mm-hmm. And I do want to say thank you to my opponents. They were all great, whether it was Jeff or Noah, who got to suffer from the rebound scores of dealing with Keith, Jake, and Greg.
You're like a bad ex-boyfriend moving around, just rebounding all over the place. Well, tough break for you this tournament then. And Ben, we missed your thoughts on command days for a tournament scene, specifically for tournament.
For tournaments, I'm not sure. With the changes I want to play a couple of games with, the way they were, definitely not. Like our views have never changed on that. The way they were, it was not good. But now with the 3 reds in that, I honestly don't know because you're not going to get.
I think are going to make them useless unless you actually bring a lot of command days. Because
you're going to have to spend like 40 points or 50 points to make them useful.
Yeah. So I think that command dice will wean themselves out of metas at this point. But for fun games, they're fun.
Yeah.
I definitely add some spice.
Yeah, I am going to try the new rules next time
we can play some games.
Yeah, just to see what they're like, just to see if they're actually something that we're going to have to take a look at or something like that. But I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I think with the fact that you only give the 3 reds, like you're going to have to pay points for it, so that the fact that they aren't free, or when they are free, when you can reliably get 3 or 4 points with the free dice, it just feels too cheap. So like you're going to have to make the call, like, is it worth giving up Brew of Strength or something, or like a cheap trash regiment to get dice?
And do you need to take the units that can get I think it now makes it something you either build for or don't bother with at all.
Yeah.
Right.
So all right, let's do a fast 1-line round robin. Favorite thing about the tournament you're just at. We'll do the same order. So Alex, favorite thing from the tournament?
My opponents.
Okay. Ben?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's got to be
no repeats.
No repeats.
No repeats.
Sandwiches. Fucking the sandwiches. I love those.
The sandwiches, Ray.
I'm going with the sandwiches.
Beautiful armies.
Yeah,
very nice. Very nice.
Now, but so
Alex.
I know. I was like, I'm going to take this one.
Opponents is a good one. The Northeast is a good scene. So
yeah, we are lucky that the people that we play are all good guys.
On that note, I want to end on a high, which is we have.
Wait. No,
let's. I will be the bigger man, and I'll bring this up. Speaking of great opponents in the Northeast, this guy right here got 3rd best sports.
I did. So
surprising everybody.
Yeah, including Mike. That was. I have a best sports trophy, albeit 3rd place, but damn it, I'll take it.
Can you hold your arms up like this for a second for me? Your one wrist does look substantially bigger than the other.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Speaking of which, Ray, where did you place in the final of all of these things? Out of the how many was there?
Oh, are we doing this? All right, yeah, we skipped.
No, we're doing this. Oh no, we're doing this.
We'll go reverse order then. Ray, where did you actually finish?
11th.
All right.
So Alex, where
did you? Soft scores.
Soft scores, yeah. So this is what you get. I got 13th.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, this is a
I
soft
haven't
score
seen the overall standings for it yet, so I have no idea.
I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
I haven't seen the over.
Sixth in battle, 13th overall.
Oh, and then
So I was 5th in battle, and I actually don't know where I ended up overall, which was
4th.
I was
4th
4th
overall.
overall. So yet again, I am best Canadian going out to an American Cup.
But you know what? I just want to point that out. So you actually moved up because of your soft scores,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
may have been sports, but also is probably your paint. So you're
Yeah.
welcome.
I told everybody where my army came from. I am not lying about that shit. You guys, once again, are fantastic.
It
But
takes
yeah,
a village. It takes a village.
I honestly did not know that I ended up coming 4th overall. That's
Wow.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That really is fantastic. I was chuffed at 5th overall and being best Canadian yet again.
Oh,
But
Jesus.
hey,
Now,
I
to
walk
be,
through the bay door to get to work every day. It's
I
all
mean,
ego.
you've been playing that army for long enough. You should be good at it by now.
After 4 years, I should be pretty good at that.
to be honest, though, the field was what? He still had nearly 40 players, like
Yep.
42
It's
players,
like
I think.
mid 30s, yeah.
32, yeah.
32
It
players.
was supposed to be 38, except for the
So
6th.
even 13, that's a respectable finish in the Northeast, especially
Top
given
half.
the room of players. Like,
Yeah, I'm happy with top half. And like,
fair enough. Excellent recap, gents. So that's all I have as your ringleader for this evening.
So,
Ray, you want to bring it home?
So we have 6 spots remaining for March of Death, March 1st and 2nd in Brantford, Ontario. It'll be another great weekend of Northeast Kings of War playing, where you will not have to play me, but you may be able to play the best Canadian when he goes down to US events, and the most fun Canadian, apparently, because he's gathering all the trophies. So please come, please knock him off his pedestal. We have 6 spots, and the details will be in the description.
And challenges are open for this event. So if you do want to knock Ben off his high horse in the first round, feel free to make that known in one of the Facebook groups or the group chats or whatever.
You want to ensure that your name is mentioned in the next, the post March of Death nerve check. Grudge any one of us.
That is also up for grabs. Yeah, that's true.
And we have a special guest coming from the Mid-Atlantic.
We do.
We do.
Himself.
Yes.
Joe will be flying up to come play in our tournament. So
I will not be able to play Joe. I'll just stare at his hair the entire time.
Joe, sounds like an easy win for you. Please feel free to grudge Ben. Everyone else grudges you.
All right. Well, if that's where we're going to end this, then thank you all again for
No,
listening.
that's not where. One last thing. If you're coming to March of Death and this episode is posted before this, book your hotel room.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Prices are going to go up.
Or
book your hotel room.
February 10th. Yes.
Before February 10th, book your hotel room. And yeah, there's still spots, so please come out. Honestly, we're really happy to have for Ray to have kind of pushed this thing over into a hotel. I'm going to take credit for everything he does. Come out and make this thing absolutely amazing, so I can take credit for all of that shit too.
Because we take credit for training you to get your victories. So
I mean, this is true.
And providing armies and so really, it's our win.
It takes a village to run a tournament.
It sure
does. It does take a village to run a tournament. Anyway, so with that all being said, I would like to thank Alex for coming on to do this with us. And hopefully he'll show up a little more often every once in a while for us.
Absolutely.
And until then, good night for now, guys.
We're out.
Have a good one.